Hi, welcome back to part 3 for an inspector calls. So we're looking at the stage directions and particularly looking at the family. So I wanted to talk through not only where the characters sit around this dining room table, but some of the things that describe them and what that is hinting at, what is Priestley saying about who we should like, who we should be aware of, what we know about them. So at the head of the table, or one head of the table, is Mr. Berlin. So being at the head of the table there is a sense of power and control, and we know that because it's a patriarchal society and, you know, men have the ruling power during the time and women don't really have any rights. Now, Mr. Berlin is described as number 10. He's described as heavy looking. So we get that sense of gluttony again. He's overweight, he overeats, he has more than he needs. Perhaps Priestley saying there's a bit of an anger there because he's very lucky to have everything that he wants. He's also described as number 4, provincial in speech, which means he's got a bit of a country accent. So what we do learn about him is that he's not been born into this middle class. He's worked up to it, which means that perhaps he should understand really what it was like before. For working classes, he should have his eyes open a little bit more. But what it does also show is that maybe he's not going to be as respected in the middle and upper class, the bourgeoisie and the aristocracy, because they will all speak in RP, which is received pronunciation, so very posh, where they will not have an accent or a dialect. So just notice that when we're going through as well, when we see how he has to say his words. And the last one for Mr. Berlin is number 8. He's described as portentous, not pretentious, portentous. They're very different words. Now, portentous actually means threatening or an ominous message, a dangerous message. So it makes us think that he potentially could cause danger, could be threatening to someone or something, not fully trusted there. And there's a really big, heavy sign there from Priestley with the quote in number 8. Opposite him, again at the head of a table, so again she's got power, is Mrs. Berlin. Now, Mrs. Berlin's described as number 1, cold. So it makes us think she's emotionless. She doesn't really have much care for anybody else, seems quite closed off and not very easy to talk to. She's also described as number 6, socially superior to her husband. Now, within the bourgeoisie and the aristocracy, it was all about like who you knew, who you communicated with and who you parted with, because none of them needed jobs, none of them had a job. So that meant that there was lots of parties where everybody knew everybody, everyone could talk about everybody, and you were visited by royalty, and that was how you got a name for yourself in capitalist society. She is from the middle and upper classes, so she has the better reputation than her husband. So she's got more power, essentially, socially, than her husband. We get Sheila and Gerald that are sat upstage. They're next to each other. They're getting engaged. So Sheila Berlin is described as quite pleased with life, number 2, and quite excited. So pleased with life. She's clearly not had a difficult life. She's in her 20s. She's not had to work hard. She's not had to work at all. Obviously, she's grown up with money. And I think that's why with number 5, she's quite excited. So she acts quite young, quite immature, quite naive, not aware of the reality of women perhaps in the working class society that have struggled. Gerald, he's Gerald Croft. Now, he is number 9, a well-bred young man about town. Now, he is from a better family than the Berlings, Crofts Limited. Well-bred refers to the fact that his family name is better. And man about town, he's quite popular. He gets around. Everybody knows him socially. He's got communications with others. Could help him get out of a sticky situation, perhaps. And then downstage, closest to the audience and separate from the family because he's kind of sat on his own here, is Eric. Now, Eric's the youngest Berlin. He's quite half shy. So that makes you think, well, when's he nervous or quiet around his family or strangers? Makes you feel like something's a little bit uncomfortable there for Eric. And he's not quite at ease. So he doesn't feel comfortable around the family. He feels worried. And that makes us wonder why he feels like that. Okay, make sure you've got the notes for that one. And then we'll move on to Mr. Berlin.